What makes a house a home? Over 8 weeks, 21 homes bursting with style and character are competing to be crowned Home of the Year. Each week, 3 homeowners open their doors to our expert judges, who will decide which one goes through to the final. Making the tough decisions are design legend Hugh Wallace, interior designer Deirdre Whelan, and architect Declan O'Donnell.
It's like a folded piece of paper. If we're all honest, we love a good snoop. And what's great here is that you can actually learn loads from the homes we're seeing.
Whoa! It's about the people that live there, and I totally enjoy that.
Perfect, Declan. Gone at last. The layer in any home that's critical is the furniture, artwork, and bric-a-brac, because that's actually what brings the house to life.
Tonight, the judges will visit 3 more unique homes, scoring them based on functionality, individuality, and clever design. The home with the highest marks will go through to the final. But there can only be one winner. This is Home of the Year. Architect Siobhan O'Connell bought a rundown red brick townhouse in 2007. The renovation works to make it a dream home for herself and her husband were a true labour of love.
The renovation work I did spanned over 8 years nearly, because I did things as I could afford to do them. I'm a fully qualified architect, interior designer and an artist, and all of that would have impacted on the way I designed my own home. One of the most important things is to get light into your home, but also to connect with the garden and the outdoor spaces. So what I did was I built on the extension, which involved taking down a gable wall and lowering the ground level at the rear of the property and raised the roof area and put a wall of glass in it as well as roof lights. This is my favourite spot in the house. It's because it's warm and cosy and very relaxed. There's a great sense of connection with the gardens, and the sky and the clouds are always overhead. I've tried to work with the style of the original house. I was very conscious I wanted to keep the original character. I haven't altered the old house fabric, not too much anyway. I'd like to think the style of the home reflects my personality. I've travelled a lot. I'm very into sailing and outdoor pursuits. I really, really love my home. It's a sanctuary to come home to.
The judges must now assess the home, armed with only the basic facts about the property and its owner.
Wow. Gosh, it's very traditional, isn't it? But yet there's lots of quirky stuff around.
I like the fact that they've opened it up front to back. Big bay window. That's the thing about the proportions of these buildings. They're very generous. There's no better value in any kind of house than space, especially in the height as well. So
Absolutely.
Lovely room.
All the original cornice detailing, architraves and doors are still intact, and I particularly love the piano hinge, because what that does is allow the doors to fold fully back and allow these 2 rooms to act as one space.
Love the bay window, but I feel that the curtain pole isn't appropriate, and I think the curtains are very, very heavy.
But this house is Victorian style. The Victorian era was about that heaviness and darkness.
I'm attracted to the lights in both rooms because they're quite unique. Definitely a sailing theme going on here. I have an amazing desk here. I think it's a partner's desk. Tapestry on the wall. They probably sailed the seas and went and found that somewhere and brought it back. And actually, it is evoking that feeling of Victoriana. So I'm kind of intrigued as to what the rest is going to be like.
This house is like stepping back in time because of the collection of antique furniture, colours and art. Just the whole ambience and mood of the house.
Oh, goodness me.
This is obviously the link between the original house and what looks like a new extension at the back. Built-in bookcases, loads of cosy chairs. It's a usable space. And I love to see that because there's nothing worse than dead space in a house.
And the fact that they've this little courtyard here has allowed light into that room that we've been just in and into this space we're now in. Terrific.
Extending a house like this brings up a problem that we see every day: how to bring light back into the original building. This house shows you how to do it. Internal courtyards are the answer.
And actually, there is their favourite spot. They obviously really enjoy sitting here, reading a good book. I like the fun they're having with the ceiling.
Yeah.
And they have really nice, warm textures in here. There's lots of interesting objects around. You get a sense that this person's a real collector. Great.
Yeah.
Great space.
I love that they've gone full height, so when you come in from that low ceiling, you get this lovely lift. 4 big roof lights, loads of natural light coming in here.
I like the mix of countertops, the fact that they've gone for a black countertop that picks up the colour of the cooker, the big wooden island unit, and that's a great little view out when you're standing at the sink.
I think the proportions of this room are great. Those big windows out to another lovely terraced area. However, for me, there's a coldness in this room. I'd love to have seen a bit of colour and warmth coming in here. And when I look back at that sort of Inglenookey area over there, which I describe as very warm and comfortable, I don't get that in this space.
I quite like the fact that it's really bright, very contrasting to what we've seen in the old part of the house. It's young, it feels vibrant. That's very nice. I love it when I see art on a wall as you come up the stairs. It kind of tells a story about the person who lives here. Oh, wow, what a luxury. A laundry room on the first floor. You know, right beside the bedrooms, that's where you want it. Put your clothes straight into the wardrobes. I think it's brilliant.
Makes total sense.
And Deirdre, we even have a chandelier to iron by.
Oh, goodness me. Great bedroom. What a nice colour. This is duck egg green, which is a colour I would never really use in a bedroom. I tend to keep things very neutral, but it actually really works in here.
The proportion of the room really helps, and that's why I think it can take the colour. You also have that great window letting in that natural west-facing light.
The style is very much back to the period style we've seen downstairs in the living spaces. It's a bit darker. It's not my cup of tea, I should say that, but I think what it shows me is that the homeowners are obviously very committed to it. There's 2 very different styles at play here between the old house and the new. I can't help feeling that I just wanted to see some contemporary style in the bedroom.
The home will now be marked out of 10. 1 score will be held back until the judges have seen all 3 homes, when their combined scores will be revealed.
I find this home fascinating. I like the contrast between the old part of the house and the new. And I'm really impressed with that functional laundry room on the first floor. I'm giving this home an 8.
I love the eclectic mix of antiques, objects and art. I really admired that when the owners renovated this home, they kept the original building fabric and features. I give this house a 7.
Terrace houses always pose a challenge when extending, and I think here they got the main spaces just right with a clever, usable link that connects the old and the new.
When furniture designer Denise Walsh and her husband Stephen decided to make the move from Dublin to Tipperary 4 years ago, they were determined to build the perfect family home for them and their 2 children.
Prior to this, we lived in a Georgian apartment, 2 children, no garden, so we longed for more space.
We did originally think about putting in a Georgian country house on the site, and I spoke to our architect and he said, go and do something modern, and we agreed with him ultimately. We went ahead with a thoroughly modern design.
We're both fans of modernist architecture, Mies van der Rohe, the California case study houses. My business is bespoke furniture, so I was able to dovetail with the architect from the start and just make sure the storage in the house accommodated our family's needs.
Every part of the house is used every day. We're working here, we sleep here, we eat here, we play here. It's a great place to be.
We're choosing this as our favourite spot, really because this area is an extension of our living space, but also it's looking inward. Gives me real pleasure because you can see how the architecture and the interiors are working harmoniously together. This house, I think, gives you a certain kind of energy and a pep when you get up in the morning. It's just a pleasure, and we're very proud of it.
It's a great place to live in, and it's a lovely place to come back to when you've been away as well.
It's like arriving up to a walled garden in a country estate house, and you just have a door to go through.
I actually recognise this house. It won an architectural award, so I can't wait to see what it's like on the inside.
Yeah, I recognise it too, but I suppose it's up to us to find out if it's a great home. beautiful.
What a hallway. It's all about welcome, it's all about arrival. You've just got a huge picture window, frameless glass, seamless connection with the landscape. Impressive.
It sort of echoes a Mies van der Rohe
Yeah.
architectural style, which is about simplicity. A Mies van der Rohe's style is less means more. You don't put in a window because you feel like it. You only put in a window because it is correct. Lovely.
Wow.
I actually have goosebumps walking in here. There's no doubting the influence in modernism from America with the architecture here. It's everywhere we look. It's all about minimalism, simplicity, floor-to-ceiling glass, overhangs, and being at one in the landscape. I'm blown away.
I love the fact that you've got that fantastic open-plan kitchen leading into a dining and the living spaces all in this one big, high-volume space. I'm actually quite speechless.
I'm delighted to see an open plan space as good as this in the competition. Everything has its own zone. You don't feel like you're just in one big room.
This is a great kitchen. I love the combination of materials that have been used here.
Yeah, I love actually the fact that the style of the kitchen very much evokes the architectural era that has inspired the design of this house. It's that 50s, it's modernism. I mean, it's just the perfect kitchen for this house.
The fact that I have aluminium here, which was the hot material of the 50s, is just fabulous because this style was about modernism, everything new. We're in a new world. And that, to me, that just sums it up. We have this beautiful big room, and I feel that the dining room area has been squashed into the corner. Lovely table in terms of materials, but I would like to have seen it much bigger.
I'm just looking out that way when I come here anyway. You've got the glass on glass corner and really beautiful detailing, and you have that huge cantilever. You know, it's impossibly kind of floating out over the glass. It's a masterpiece.
I like the colour palette in here. You've got a very neutral floor, but then they've had a bit of fun with the upholstery here, a bit of texture in the cushions. Got this fantastic colourful rug and love the pop of red. It's really very tastefully done.
Declan, all your birthdays have come together. Look at this.
Keep going. Keep going. Wow. I mean, the sheer size of this opening, that cantilever as well, it's huge. I've never seen anything like this in Ireland before.
Yeah, I love the fact that when this opens up, this terrace is part of that living space. I mean, it's all about family.
And look, it's also their favourite spot. It's a big social space.
And I think it's about the terrace and house being a celebration of the owner's love and understanding of architecture. This nestles perfectly in the landscape, and really it's about nature being left, and that this house empathizes with nature.
I'd agree.
Master bedroom?
A clear picture of the layout now, which is really simple. One big space, and then down a wing with a couple of bedrooms. Very, very pure.
Quite a small master bedroom. I'm quite surprised. I think seeing it's a new build, they could have just given it a bit of room, and the consistency of the furniture is a bit odd in this room.
I think it's a great room. I love the pop of colour. It's actually kind of an office system furniture that's being used here in the bedroom.
Perfect. It should be in the office.
No, I think that's good. I think that's great. And I really do like the low ceiling because it is about intimacy in here and a quietness that you want in a bedroom. Great bathroom. I love the combination of the wood and the stone. It's very slick.
The choice of the stone material and the overall detail of this bathroom is just so consistent with what we've seen in the rest of the house, with the exception of the master bedroom. There's an architectural perfection to this modernist 1950s inspired home. The clarity with which the owners understand the architectural style is superb. I give this house an 8.
One thing I'm looking for in this competition is total harmony between architecture and interior design, because there is a sweet spot there where a home can become more than the sum of its parts. And I got a sense here that the building and the owner are in total sync with one another. I'm giving it a 10.
This home is all about family and nature coming together. The homeowners have a real understanding of modern architecture and design.
William and Leslie Shannon have lived in their 18th century thatched home in County Antrim for over 30 years and have brought it into the 21st century with the help of their architect daughter, Aisling.
The house has evolved over the years. When we first moved here, it was very basic. 3 to 4 years ago, we created this extra space. As you do when your children leave home, you double the space of the house. Our daughter, Aisling, she's now a qualified architect, and she was very keen to provide the concept for us.
Aisling was very clear, having grown up in the house, that what we needed was somewhere which was light and bright and very much in the garden and enjoying the view.
What the extension provides is these enormous glass windows which really give you the sense of being outside. It's very much like being in a bubble. This is our favourite spot. We can sit here, we can look at the garden, we can look at the view, and most of all, we love to be able to look up at those trees. The interior of the house, I think, very much reflects us because we are quite understated. You know, we haven't gone for very modern, very contemporary. It's what we're comfortable with, it works for us. It's a very calm, happy place to be. We've happy memories. And I think it's probably always been a happy home for the last 300 years. It feels like that.
Well, I'm just so excited because I'm standing in front of a unique piece of architectural heritage. This is about 300 years old.
It's been very faithfully restored as well.
It oozes character, and I think we should go in.
Let's.
You really get the same character that you saw outside coming in here. Oh, look at this. This is nice, isn't it? Really intimate with the red on the walls. Makes it very cozy.
The proportion of this room is interesting because today the ceiling feels low. But when this was built, people were smaller, Declan.
Smaller than me, you mean?
Well, just a tad smaller.
Okay. I could see myself living in this house even 300 years ago because apparently I'm the right height.
This was a very impressive, big room. You were a very important person to have a home like this.
But even if you look at the windows, I mean, the detail of the timber and the shutter boxes that are still there gives you an idea of the importance and the status of this building when it was built.
My only observation would be the size of the furniture. I'd like to have seen a tidier wing-back chair, antique table, but I bet they're comfortable chairs. I thought the living room really worked. I could chill out there, read the newspapers, have the fire lit, and the light coming over my shoulder.
Oh, we're in the kitchen here. I absolutely adore that cottage window. You really get the sense of the old cottage in here. The only thing that I find a bit odd is that the kitchen feels like it's been split in half, because that feels like a circulation route.
I actually think it works very well. Nice big functional kitchen, great big countertops, perfect.
But what I'm interested in is what's going on at the back door because it looks like there's a fairly contemporary extension out there. I can't wait to go in there.
Let's explore.
This is the last thing I was expecting to see from walking through that door, attached onto a traditional cottage. You just have the most amazing timber structure. And the contrast, you have very, very sharp, crisp detailing in and around the windows is just fascinating.
It reminds me of the bones of an Elizabethan hay barn. We have actual solid beams, solid oak beams, solid frame, doweled together.
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
And that wood burner, it is absolutely fantastic because it's the focal point, and yet you still get the full view of the garden beyond.
And even in terms of how they've linked the old back to the new, frameless glass, they've pulled the form of this building away from the original cottage, so it stands as something separate, but at the same time, it's respectful of what's here as well.
And here we have their favourite spot. What an amazing view in that garden. And then I have this roof light, which just brings your eye up to that magnificent pine tree.
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's escapism. I'm very curious about this little room. Okay.
Go on.
Oh my gosh, a laundry room.
Isn't that great?
Actually, this is very, very clever because the size of these doors means when you fold them back, they perfectly fit and they screen the pieces of glass at each end.
But for me, it's in the wrong part of the house. I would just like to have taken this whole room out and moved the kitchen in here.
I think it really works in this space, and I like the kitchen being separate. That's a personal thing. I think this is a perfect little box. Well executed and designed and really functional. We talk about this competition being about clever design, and that's exactly what that extension is.
The hallway actually is lovely, loads of character.
And here we are in the master bedroom, lovely sized room, up in the thatch.
I think the powdery blue here works really well. This is a very, very comfortable bedroom.
Yeah, they've kept it very, very simple, which is great.
I just love this low window we saw from the outside, the timber ceiling and the exposed beam. Great.
What we have here is a little piece of heaven that's tucked into the countryside. Just has the most amazing extension, expresses its own simple form, subtle and sympathetic in terms of how it's plugged back into the original cottage. I give it a 9.
The cottage is all about intimacy and the extension is all about light and experiencing the garden. However, for me, there were some layout issues in parts of this house. I gave this home a 7.
The contrast between the thatched country house, which is loved, respected and maintained, and that modern barn-inspired extension is a tour de force.
Now that the judges have viewed all 3 homes, it's time to find out how they measure up against each other. First, the red brick townhouse, where Declan held back his score.
There was 2 very contrasting styles. We had the much kind of darker period features in the older part of the house and the nice big bright open extension on the back. All about height, all about volume. The Victorian style was a bit much for me now in places, but they made every square inch of this house count and I gave it a 7.
A good score.
That's an 8 and 2 7s, 22.
Next, Deirdre reveals how she scored the contemporary home.
That family room was really fantastic. I loved the proportions of it. I loved the complete relationship with the garden. It was a really amazing, modern family home, and I gave it a 9.
I knew you loved it when you were walking around.
So that's a 10, a 9 and an 8. That's 27.
And finally, Hugh reveals what he gave the extended thatch.
You had the 300-year-old cottage restored, loved. You walked through that glass corridor into this extraordinary building. 2 beautiful buildings set perfectly into the landscape. I was just amazed by the whole thing, and I gave it a 9.
Same as me. It's 2 9s and a 7. It's 25. We have a winner. I'm thrilled. That's a great example of modernism in Ireland. It's everything that I love about architecture and design. This is just a little architectural gem.
And it deserves its place in the final.
It's a great family home.
So our 4th house through to the final is the contemporary home in Tipperary. Next week, the search continues for Home of the Year.